Hello and welcome back to Bamplav. If it is your first time here, consider subscribing to our channel for all content related to parenting, to family life, and to navigating life as a woman. So today, Bamplav, in partnership with Reproductive Health Uganda, joins the rest of the world in a 16 days of activism campaign against gender-based violence. And just so we have a common understanding, gender-based violence encompasses various forms of harm, including physical, sexual, psychological, and economic abuse inflicted on individuals due to their gender identity. And we do acknowledge that boys and men are also victims of gender-based violence, but the campaign is focusing on violence against girls and women, mostly because of the alarming statistics surrounding the victims, the female victims of GBV. And just to share a few statistics, globally, it is estimated that more than 1 in 3 women has ever experienced sexual or physical violence in at least once in their lifetime. And just to clear this picture, on this set we are 6 women. That means that data is informing you that 2 of us here, at least 2, has experienced violence. As you can see, the Bamplav ladies are joined by 2 beautiful women. Yes. I'll start with Harriet Nekesa on my left. She's a mother of 5. She's a social worker. She's a principal community development officer in Mbale district. You're welcome, Harriet. Yes. And on my right, we have Joyce Nakato. She's the chairperson of country management team, Power to Youth. Power to Youth is a program hosted by Reproductive Health Uganda that partners with other organizations. Is that right?
Yes, please.
Yes. And she's also the ED of Uganda Youth and Adolescent Health Forum.
Yeah.
She's a mother and a wife.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Welcome to the show.
Thank
like
you.
How they introduced
Why
you,
not?
right?
I'm complete.
Yeah, welcome. I'm
Yes.
glad. If we can each go around and share an experience that has hit close to home regarding gender-based violence.
We're talking about this topic and there's so many examples that come to mind, but just this week, not last month, not last year, not 3 years ago, just this particular week, I get a message from one of my mentees, and her husband beat her for the very first time in her life. And when he beat her to tell her, this conversation we are having that you've brought up, because she's not been working because she was raising children. And then now the children are old enough and can go to school in boarding. And so now she, says to her husband, I think now is a time for me to, consider work. He misled her and told her, I want to beat you so much so that this conversation you can't even think it. So the first time, it wasn't like she got a warning. They've been married 12 years. He's never laid a finger on her. But he said, Kuruno, let me beat you so well so that this can never be a conversation that you bring up. And he beat her up. She sent me pictures. And short of going and picking her up and taking her out of the house, it was so bad.
And for me, those stories were very rampant. Like, I grew up knowing that for some reason, men beat women. And you would be very, because I really hate pain. And you'd just be like, okay, because just at the back of your house, hey, they beat her the whole night. Bambi, she would wake up with bruises everywhere. So I grew up surrounded by victims and stories of men beating women. Rarely did I hear about, women that beat men. Maybe in the future, like now men maybe have started coming up, but and it would always be men beating women, and I always had. And it came close to home because I had a cousin who would always come and tell my mom, I love my husband, but he keeps, and you would tell, but you know, someone who is being beaten, but you can tell they're in love, like they love their husband, but they don't know why their man keeps beating them for simple reasons, you know? Just like, I just told him I went to the market and delayed. Maybe, I think this particular one, my cousin, the husband was very jealous. So every time, like, she delayed anywhere, I think he thought, maybe, he suspected maybe she was with another man. And he would beat her. He would beat her all the time. And it used to hurt me so much. I'm like, but why? And I would ask her, why are you still with this man? Like, Munange, it's difficult. Now when you have children, yes, like now, where do I go? I have children. It was terrible. It was terrible.
So I know a couple of people who have experienced mostly psychological violence. So it starts out as psychological, emotional, and usually manifests as manipulation, gaslighting, threatening, and then has escalated. I know one where it escalated to actually being physically hit. And then the one that really surprised me is the one who I think her husband uses the Bible to manipulate her. I say that because I'm really passionate about that side of things. And so she has started second guessing herself. Clearly there is something wrong with the relationship because as a man, he's not doing anything, let me put it that way. He's not doing much, and so she's really lifting the burden of taking care of the home. But yeah, in terms of finances, there's a lot of red flags there in terms of how he handles money. He's very terrible with money. There's so much debt. He borrows money without telling her. And so she ends up bearing that burden. And so when she comes to him and approaches him and says, you know, this and this is happening, like so-and-so told me you borrowed money from them, why are you borrowing money? And the money he's borrowing, he's using for the wrong things. So he's just in a cycle of debt. He turns it around. You know when you go to someone with an issue and then they turn it around to make you look like you're the bad one? You don't understand, you're not supporting me, you are constantly questioning my decisions. And there's just so much. But the one about the Bible is where he said you're not even a Proverbs 31.
Oh yes, that's what I was going to say, yeah.
I'm just like, really? You know, and it's so bad because when I hear the stories, I'm like, gosh, that's so terrible. But then when he says you're not a Proverbs 31 woman, she's starting to believe the lies so much that she's like, wait a minute, am I not? Yeah. Maybe he's right. You know, like maybe there's something wrong with me. And that's why I feel like now there's a big problem because there's nothing, okay, not that you don't have faults, but the things that he's saying, every time you raise an issue, and they are all legit issues, things that can be worked on. You know, find a job. Let's start working together. Let's build our home together.
No, it says, don't be a nagging wife. The Bible says you are a nagging wife like a tap.
Dripping on the roof.
Dripping on the roof. Better to be alone.
That emotional manipulation where I come to you with an issue and you instead turn it around to make me look like the bad one. I feel like, okay, I don't want to rate them, but that's a terrible kind of violence. Because then you begin to doubt yourself and begin to second guess yourself as a person, even though you're actually trying, you know, in your home. On yourself. Yeah.
I've always felt that the people who have told me their stories only always come after the fact.
That's true.
Or either after the fact or when the feet are almost out of the door. And I've always felt that people who are experiencing gender-based violence, mine is physical, like real physical abuse, they because of my personality, I'm not really, I'm a solution. I'm always going to tell you to leave the house. And I feel like women don't like that response. They're either looking for sympathy and empathy and
Because
acceptance.
when someone is abusing you, like after abusing you, I think you've ever heard when the lady ladies say that after him beating me, he buys for me a cloth.
That's true.
After me beating me,
That's
he does
true.
for me this.
That's true.
So an abuser will abuse you and then gives you a sweet. Will abuse you
That's
and
manipulation.
then gives you
Oh my God.
That's
That's manipulation.
You can keep liking it and, you know, you say anyway, he has done this and, you know, they can be sorry for money, do what, and then the next time.
Oh my God, that's terrible. And, you know, I used to think that people who are abused are only in marriages. But I think the one that was closest to home to me was a very, very close friend of mine. And she was a girlfriend who was not even cohabiting. They were not even living together. She used to just come, and maybe weekend girlfriend of come and stay over. The man would beat her for speaking on a loud tone, beat her for speaking softly, beat her for speaking, beat her for not speaking at all.
Oh my God.
When she sleeps, they beat her because she has slept at the wrong time. When she doesn't sleep, they beat her because it was time to sleep. If she comes home, when she enters the house, they beat her. When she just breathes, they beat her. So much so that her mother had to come and remove her from that household at near death. And she's telling me this story like maybe 6-7 months into it. And I'm always wondering, and then I remember, you know, there was a time in our circles when people would always say that, but Pumla, that friend of yours, is she bleaching? Is she quartering in Buzigo? Kumbe, she was putting on makeup to cover.
And by the way, let me add something on that. In most cases, so many young people, or so many women out there, what happens that when they are going through such experiences, they don't want to share it. They keep it at themselves. So inside there, they are crying, but they cannot, because they're also wondering, whom am I going to talk to? Because people are going to judge them. They also think that maybe I'm supposed to be with this guy. Maybe I will not get another right guy, because that's what they think within them, which is not right. Which is not right, because people have to live even when they don't have partners. Life has to continue. So it really becomes so bad that people are not able to speak out, yet the issues that are affecting them as individuals.
That's so sad. Harriet, we understand you have experienced gender-based violence, and we really thank you for being here. We know it's a very brave thing that you're doing. Would you kindly share your story with us?
Oh, my name has already been mentioned, Harriet. I work as a principal community development officer. I come from Bale. That's where I was born and raised. That is in Bale. And my parents provided me with everything. That's what I can say. Provided me with everything I needed when I was growing up. So I didn't have any challenges growing up. And I didn't lack. They have never chased me away for fees. So I just want you to understand the kind of family, the kind of background I come from. They are God-fearing. And I don't remember my mother laying a finger on me. Even my father, I don't remember. Actually, I normally say I'm the most loved because I look like my mother. I'm a photocopy of my mother. Even the way I talk, I'm just a photocopy of her. I finished my studies in Makerere University, and I was eager to get a husband because that's what they were telling us at home after school. Wait after school, wait. So I was eager now to get this sweetheart because they say they don't give him maso. Oh, wow. I remember after university, my father was like, Harriet, I wanted you to go for law, and you didn't get. I know this time that you finished this social science course, you can go for law. I said that, let me first go and get married first. You say that the good things are in front. Let me go and enjoy the good things. I can, yeah. So, yes, it's that time that I got my sweetheart. A young, handsome man. I saw what my parents told me that so good things are in front. I saw that in him, and I was yes. Even before he had told me anything, my minds were yes. Everything was yes. And yes, and we started moving out with him, and unfortunately, the time we started moving out is when the psychological, physical, all started happening. For me, the abuse started happening immediately. And I remember, and I didn't know it was abuse. And that's what most ladies think. I didn't know it was abuse. I thought I was loved so much because he would follow me literally everywhere. I come to Kampala for interviews. He follows me. Maybe we have gone out and I'm going to the toilet. He follows me. Literally, he used to follow me everywhere. He used to follow me everywhere. And me, I was like, wow, I've found love. The man really loves me. And I didn't know it was abuse, surely. And of course, we went ahead. We started, I moved in. We started staying together. And somehow in 2009, we wedded. We wedded. Our wedding was on Valentine's Day. And
nice.
I saw these young couples on Valentine's Day, and it was beautiful. But even on the wedding day, I believe we were pinching each other. But it was a wedding day. And
pinching meaning fighting?
Fighting, yeah, fighting. Not fighting, but arguing. We're not at good terms. We could disagree on most of the things. And we started moving together. God blessed us with children, and I thank God for that. He was working, by then he was working as a records assistant, that is some of the lowest jobs in local government, and I was somewhere in the middle. I was a community development officer. I was a community development officer. So my income was more than his. And also my background, at least my parents had some little, like I gave a background, some little money, and I'd grown up in this fairly good life. And he had grown up with this hard life, struggling, because I was raised from town area and he was raised from the village. So there was also that disparity. Yeah, disparity. I knew most of the things that, you know. So, but then we lived together. He was a son to a reverend. His father was a reverend, and my parents were happy. I was in the hands of a reverend. With respect to other, yeah, yes. So we started staying together, and during courtship, some of the things which happened were, he used to follow me up, and when he finds me talking to any man, I would be beaten for that. I remember the worst time is when he beat me, stepped on me. I thought I had lost a uterus. And of course, people who were there, some made fun of me, some were sorry. Somehow I found myself in my brother's home that evening, that in the morning, in my brother's home. And of course, my brother was like, surely, Harriet, is this what you want? But he doesn't have many words. He just said that. So as I was there in the morning, he gives me a call, sweet talking me, of course, telling me good things, promising he will never do it again. It was just a misconception, and we start afresh. We started afresh until when we ended up wedding and living as husband and wife. And he was so strong. At times when he was trying to, you also feel that, let me fight back, sure, let me try to. He was so strong because he would hold the hands and just beat like he's beating his child. And I remember it became too much because he would beat and I collapsed. He would beat, all the neighbors knew about it, and it was too much.
Just a quick one. Before you got married, he had already started beating you.
Yeah.
Did you think he would change? Because I think most people have that perception. You're thinking, okay, we'll get married, he will change. Did you think he would change?
I grew up in this family where my mother had stayed with my father, and they are still together up to now.
So you knew that was
So I knew that was
fate.
the order of the day. And also, who doesn't want to stay with a man, and then you have the children with that man, and you know, you grow up you age together. Eh? But also, he had promised me marriage from the first day. He had promised me marriage, and he did it. Yeah, I got married. He kept his word. Yeah. So
I also have a question.
Yeah.
You know, Harriet, you were raised in a home where you never saw your mom being beaten. How, like, what was it that made you feel like this was, it was okay, or it's normal, or it's what happens? Because your home, you didn't experience it. Or did you think it was happening and you didn't see? Like, why exactly?
Have you ever been with a child, a 3-year-old, and then the next time you hear a child saying a very nasty word that you don't even say in your family. You've ever experienced that. So it's not only the mother and the father that brings up a child. We learn these things from even the neighbors, the schools, you know, there are so many people, the church, everywhere. There are so many people that build our characters and also our minds. It's not only that small unit. Yes, it's not only that unit of mother and father. Yeah.
And not that it matters. You spoke about beating and everybody knows this. Are they beating you in privacy and you're shouting, that's why people know? Or are they beating you in Lujude?
Like, for example, all. Both, all in the bedroom, outside when people are seeing, when you go out, like a function, you come back when you're beating, they are beating you, or they have abused you, or they have insulted you, or they have belittled you, you feel so small, you know.
And each time he would apologize, say sweet nothings. And
thank you for reminding me. I would apologize as a good wife.
You apologize?
I would, most of the time I got married, I would apologize because to keep the peace.
But Harriet, for how long was that? How did you go?
And remember, I loved him. Remember, I loved him. Actually, love. Like the Bible says, the greatest is love. So I loved him, and it was easy to forgive him. Financially, I was also abused in the sense that it was me doing most of the things, most of the things in a home. I found him when he had not graduated, he didn't have a degree, he had a diploma, and we struggled together. So all his resources had to go to getting the degree, paying school fees. So for the 3 years, it was basically me. But he was so smart that like when a child falls sick, he would carry the child, take the child to hospital, and you who is seeing, you would see a very responsible man. In that way, you cannot tell someone that he's not the one. You can't go and tell everybody he's not the one doing it. He's not. So me who is busy looking for money, I would join later. Absent one. Yes. And I would pay the bills. Most of the bills, it was me. So even economically, he would abuse me. I remember when he told I wanted a job with Bank of Baroda, and I had a very good recommendation from someone, and I remember he tore it. The letter? He tore that letter, yes. I remember also my documents. One time he threw them. He just wanted me around him, and that was all. Anything which could keep me away from him, no. It was just around him, so that I monitored very well. But of course, at that time, I need love. They are loving me, and we are just it's just the two of us. So I remember when I kept on. Now, of course, they beat you so hard that you run away. You run out of the home. They beat you so much that you run out of the home. And I kept on going back. Okunova, Mfuluma, then I go back like that. So it reached a time when it was too much. I said no. Because that time around, I remember when he beat me up and he wanted to give me, we went out, then when I came back with him, we had a disagreement. I just saw he's not happy. And we were with friends, and these were young girls we were with, and of course men were around there, and they wanted maybe this girl, but for him, but even if they had wanted me, surely, I had not even said yes, but I think they were friends to the girl I was with. So when we go back home, I remember by that time I had done some gardening, and I had used Roundoff to kill the grass, like to spray on the grass, because it was really, the place was bushy around the area, and it was bringing rats inside. And I'd kept the balance in the bedroom. So I knew the smell of Roundoff. So at night, I normally take water before I sleep. So when we came from out, and I think he had planned it, and I sat in the chair in the sitting room, and then he brought for me water. Sweetheart, you normally take water, this is the water. But on smelling the water, I smelled the poison. So I said, no, I'll not take today. I will not take today, I'm full. And he insisted, take it. I said, no, I'm not going to take. I remember I pushed the water and it poured. And then he grabbed me and started strangling me. He really pressed so hard. I don't know where I got the energy. I think the body, when it's going to that time, I really got the energy in that my eyes just turned, the vessels, I think in my eyes, they just turned red as if they had poured blood in my eyes around that time. And I don't know how, but somehow I jumped over the chair and I escaped naked, with just a half sleep. I was preparing for bed, just a half sleep. And I remember I was carrying my baby. I picked my baby, and I don't know how things happened, but God just gave me the... So when I was running, he tried to pick me, but somehow he grabbed the petcoat. He grabbed the petcoat and he tore. And then the child, he fell down, and they were hard cause, but he didn't mind about the baby who had fallen. He was just following me up. So when he realized he had not got me, I ran to the neighbor's room under the bed. I just entered and just went under the bed that I've survived the death. So it was in the morning that I came out of that, under the bed of the neighbor, the hiding place. And I got a skirt, and then they gave me a skirt, and I went to police. And what was taking me to police? Of course, I wanted protection, majorly protection, and also picking my children from there. And when I reached police and I narrated my story like I'm doing, they say that man loves you so much. The man who follows you everywhere, the man who does this, the man loves you so much. I'm not saying police has issues, but these are characters. They are, no.
They do. And I think we need to be able to say it. Yes, that's why we are here. Yes, we need to say it. Police needs to do better.
It's not police. I'm trying to say they are individuals.
Yeah, not police, but the individuals that she met.
Like you can't
police
say,
can also do better with
like
the individuals. Yes.
Like there is a saying that local government workers are never serious at work. I think we have heard of that.
Yeah.
It's not it's not all of us. Let's try to. It's
individuals.
their individuals.
Okay, that's true.
And personality depending on what and where, and
Fair enough.
So when I went to report, okay, they promised me, and that wasn't the first time anyway. They promised me, because I was tired of reporting, that they punished him. So now I was reporting for my protection and also to pick my children. So somehow he in the morning when I went back, they had told everybody how I came back and I was too drunk, and I knocked at that hour of the night, and then because we came back past midnight with him, and he wondered why I ran. I think I was too drunk and I just ran, and so the story normally used to turn against me. This time I said enough is enough, because I had gone out of his home several times. We had sat meetings several times with our relatives, and enough was enough. I said, if I continue staying here, I'm going to die. It came within me. And it was around the time of census, and that was 2014, and I was like, okay, let me try to do this small work of census. They give me my facilitation, and then I ran off to Kampala. I live in Mbale. I ran off with my children. And I think he was also thinking, how now do I get him back? Because all avenues of peace, going to friends, going to pastors, going to best men, going to sing, all avenues had failed.
About what your parents thought, especially in that time when you were kunobaring, going back. Like, what were
My
they
daughter,
telling
you go back.
You go back.
My daughter, you go back. I think he will change.
Okay.
Nadala pastor's son.
He will change. and they would talk to him. But he was this calm, polite, young, you know, this calm. When he's talking to you, he would be so polite. He wouldn't, in front of other people. But now me who used to stay with him, I knew who he was. Yes. But unfortunately, you can't explain that to someone. Everyone, everyone has their own perceptions. I remember one time, during that time of census, the training period, he came with a car. And those who have been in Bududa, it is very slippery when it rains. It was very slippery. And he tried to knock. But if he had knocked me, then many people would have died because we're in a group. But people around me knew my story. So they were eager to know, who was in the car. And they told me, that is your husband who is in the car. The plans failed again. From poisoning, it failed. Now knocking me, it failed. So he kept on coming. People tell me, we have seen him somewhere there. Your husband was here. He kept on following me. Meanwhile, he was growing very small. I don't know why. Maybe trying to think about whatever he's going to do or something of the sort. I remember the day he was bold enough to face me now.
This is after you've left.
After I'd left, now I was staying in Bududa. So after determined to get the small money that they had, then I leave the job. I start afresh. I remember that day. It was a Monday. Yes, a Monday. We're preparing. I was at that sub-county called the Buwali sub-county. That's where I was working by then as an acting sub-county chief. And I was training people. So we're going to the district. You know those village districts, they were far apart. I had to go to the district to pick some documents. And those, I think, signed for facilitation for this group that I was training. So that's when he came to me that morning. I greeted him. Normally, I knelt, I greeted him. And I didn't have this anger. I don't know why I didn't have anger. And I said, where have you been? You've grown so small. And he was like, no, I've been praying about whatever is happening. And I have something to tell you. Stupidly, I followed him. So he convinces me to follow him, and you know how Bududa is. It's not like here.
And then the neighbors are there. It's
village, village, that village where neighbors are far apart. I follow him. When we reached the bridge, you know those village bridges, where any slight mistake you fall in. He tried, I think, to push me. Then I said, no. Why are you doing this? Then he said, no, it is a mistake, auntie, to clean something away from you. So we move. I remember he was putting on a brown trouser and a red shirt. And we move, but my heart now started pumping so fast. I don't know, I got this fear in me. And I told him, no, be up in front. Me, I will follow from behind. I don't know why I'm getting this fear in me. Said, sure, you're fearing me? Whom you slept in the same bed with? I said, I don't know what's happening to me. Just help me. And before we reached now the main road, now went to Panya, the Rue bush. Because we had never passed that bush with him, I followed him. I followed him through that bush. The bush is near the river. That river Manafa that you hear of, so it was near. So I follow him, but my heart. So what gave me confidence to follow him? I saw an old lady, very old lady, and then I saw, was it a young boy around there? I follow him there. But what was he telling me when we were moving? That the pastor told him, he went to one pastor who told him they have planted witchcraft in the ring beam of the house, and that witchcraft is the one making us hit each other, is the one making him behave the way he behaves. So we need to remove the witchcraft so that we start with our marriage. So I was like, but the people who constructed our house came from your place. They are your village mates. So just go and talk to them. And of course, keeping the conversation going, and as eager to know who are the people, who are what, and as we're moving. We have watched Nigerian movies. There are these, like when someone is, the wife is sleeping, then wakes up and sees when the old woman is chasing them and wants to cut them. Exactly, that's how it happened.
The old woman?
No, not the old woman, but that's how it happened. Because I was moving and he was ahead of me. I don't know how he pulled out the machete, the panga. I don't know how he pulled it out. And then I just felt something hitting me. He hit me over 15 times, just hitting me. I tried to run, I could not run. The place was muddy. I had this kind of shoes and I had to fall. I remember I pulled that panga and that's how I lost this finger. When I pulled it, he just the finger dropped off. And I begged for mercy because as he was cutting me, he was saying, let me cut you. Since you have refused to come to my place, nobody else will have you. Let me cut you so that you're wasted. Let me cut you. He was so many times in that my bones were like flat. They were like so many times. Cut me so many times. All what you see here are metals. I really don't have a bone. This is a metal. And you see it didn't join well. These are screws. You can even feel them. The doctors really did a lot to ensure that the skin is like the way it is.
Harriet, I'm so sorry about what you went through. Really must have been very traumatizing. I'm curious to know, like, how did you get up from where you were? I'm really curious to know how you came out of this trauma.
Actually, after being cut, those over 15 times, that's what the doctors told me, he pushed me in the river.
What?
But that was the blessing. Okay. That's what God did for me. Yeah. So the time I stayed from morning to evening in that water, the water was so cold, it helped the blood not to flow. The old lady I saw disappeared. The boy I saw disappeared. I was in the water. I saw my life going. As asking God, I asked God to help me. Someone may come to my rescue. But nobody was coming. Oh dear. Until when I gave up, I closed my eyes and told God, help me take care of my children. I told God, if you must save me for my children. But if you're not going to save me, then take care of my young children. And I gave up. I closed my eyes. That's what I remember. When I opened my eyes, I saw people, so many people around me. So I stayed in that water for some time. I don't remember the time.
Do you remember what time this was?
But I was clinging on so that my head doesn't sink. Yeah. And I think something has held. I don't know, but the body was in the water. This hand was completely off. Hands were completely off. They were like off. Just this thing was holding the hands. They were off. So I remember I woke up when someone was telling me that, someone was shouting that, don't touch her. She might be HIV positive. Oh, really? And there were so many people around, and in me I said, God, thank you. The people have come. And one person said, no, this girl here normally passes and greets you. Let's help her. That's how I was picked. They cleared the water. The trees or some things they cleared. They picked me, and that's when I felt the first pain. I felt too much pain. And there was an old car. It was a husband to one of the MPs who had some old car around there. And that's the car which they rushed me to Bududa Hospital. Buddha Hospital, God was on my side. The ambulance, which was almost grounded, woke up, started working. And they said, this girl is lucky. But people were so many, they could not believe this couple that has been moving together has ended up with this. And they rushed me. Finally, I ended in Kumi Hospital, Ngino. And that's where I got the treatment. I went through so many operations. Even the doctors at times lost hope. And they even told me myself. Some people thought I would not write. Some people thought I would not. Someone said she would not even put on her panty, comb her hair. I remember my father, around the time when they were taking me to Kumi Hospital, someone called him and said, where is Harriet? Where is she? He said, we are taking to Manafa to bury. That's where, for him, he saw a dead body. And he was so confused and said, we are taking her to bury. And of which they were taking me to the hospital. That's how that everyone was confused. Mbale was paralyzed. Everyone prayed for me. During my treatment, everyone prayed for me. The Muslims prayed for me. The Christians prayed for me. Everyone was so concerned. It was even, I remember it was on NTV. I remember my story. At one time it was in these newsprints. It was there. The media was making fun of me. But I was at work and I could not explain that to everybody. And I went through treatment and here I am. Wow. During my treatment, it reached a time where I could not even clean myself. These hands, they were not there. I could not clean myself. I had someone to come and clean, someone to pad the things of nature, someone to pad, to do everything. They did everything for me for a period of 2.5 years.
Yes. Oh my God.
So that's what I went through. And I thank God, my being alive, my being like this is a miracle. Wow. I thank God that I'm alive. And also all those people who supported me. My mother, who stood by my side, left her business. My father, who could come every time. My brothers, who could, and sisters, who could at least Ngabasoloza sent to make sure the bill, because it was very expensive. Bony things are very expensive. I remember my hands were like this for several months. I was like this, and the legs up. They even thought I would develop maybe a back problem, but I thank God I didn't. At one time, the hand was rotting. So I thank God for healing me, for who I am now. Wow. And here I am. And in hospital, he tried to come and finish me up. But I thank God for the people who were around me, because I even have those, I happened to get the emails, and we realized even in hospital, he wanted to finish me. But he failed. We thank God that he failed.
Even at this point, the police, the authorities had not intervened after seeing a live example of what had gone on?
When I was in hospital, police came. No, he wasn't. When I was in hospital, he wasn't. He ran to Kenya. That's what I know. That's what, because because in the communication, he mentioned that he was in Kenya. The communication that we got, they mentioned that he was in Kenya, but he was not remorseful.
Harriet, I mean, this was the physical experience that happened to you. I can't imagine that there must be traumas that you're probably still dealing with. What kind of effects did this have on you as a person?
So many. You said psychological, emotional, psychological, emotional, physical. All those effects have been on me. Actually, even up to now, I have to answer questions. The first one I deal with is, what happened to you? There's a time a team from Power to Youth, who were working with a team from Power to Youth, I shared with them that I had been training communities on GBV. And I was like, what happened to me? If you look at me, I posed the question that if you look at me, what do you think? What comes in your minds? What do you think that happened to me? They mentioned so many things, accidents, what, but one girl stood up because I make them feel free. One girl said, what I think is that you cheated with someone whose wife and a woman just cut you in pieces. So those are the things, the nasty things people think about me. There is where I went to Rwanda one time, and one of the guys told me that, told my friend whom I was with way in a conference, that one is like from war, someone who is just from war. She looks like someone who is just from war. People are not kind with what they tell us. But I thank God for those comments because they build me. They make me more strong. And those are some of the effects. The comments people throw, the emotion or the comments people throw. And I have to, another impact is when we are serving, like that instruments which need me to press my hands. I've healed, but at 80% physically. I can't do some things. Like I've not taught myself to again use a fork and a spoon. And you know, you're seated with your friends and you feel I should also do the same. And there is this feeling that, oh, you know, yes. So the nerves have been damaged, and it's also an effect on my side. I remember before getting my sweetheart, the man, by the way, I got someone else. Finally came. That really. Not all men are bad, like some people may think, but yeah. And I have 2 children with him. So I remember before that, I would imagine, how am I going to breastfeed my baby? Will this hand be able to carry the baby? I would imagine so many things. Will I be able to do this? Will I be able to mingle posho? Will I be able to maybe clean up the compound? Will I be able to do what, supposing a house help is not there? Will I be able to do those things? Yes, I am able to do all those things.
Just even
on my children,
moving your hands
yeah,
like this. It's a
you
blessing.
can't know unless I tell you, by the way. At times even this finger, I don't know how, but you can't see it until I explain.
Let me kunyumiza you, sweetheart. God covers things. The one who put you in the water, so that's the blood doesn't. He's the same one who covers you, because I actually wanted to say, I mean, it's a compliment to you. That immediately you came in well, like, no, because you have such a radiant personality, the way you speak, the way you present yourself. No one is looking at your arms. It's in your face, it's in your eyes, it's in what you say. So there's no way anyone can come to, show me your fingers. It's when you say it, that someone's like, hey.
Let me see more. Yes. I remember another effect is men. Men now think that they can sleep around with you, they are helping you. Eh? I remember one man told me that I want to see the places which have not been cut. So abuse calls for more abuse. So you're like, you think maybe they are loving you, but they want to use you because they think they're helping you. They're helping you because of what you have. It has also affected my children in that at school, their teachers, at times, let's mind what we tell children. And I'm still struggling with building my son's self-esteem because he was big enough to experience this, and he loves me so much. And this boy, when he wanted to be to campaign for leadership, head boy, I remember they told him that you also, you cannot manage. You, Crispus, you can't manage. You with your parents, your father who did this, your mother, surely.
Let's be better.
Then asking a child at school, what happened to your mother? Why is your mother having those marks? Why is it makes a child who loves that person you're asking about feel so bad. And at one time, my son told me, change me. I don't want that school. Change me, I don't want. Not because of the school, but that personality.
But you've raised a very good son, because you know most children will say, you know, mommy, you stop coming to my what? To my school, because, but you've raised a good son who says the problem is not my mother, The problem is the school. So well done. As a mom, well done.
Yeah.
Wow.
The way I am cannot change. And I normally tell them, the way you are cannot change. Because my son is fat and he would say, Mommy, the abuse that I'm so fat. I say, look at me, your mother. I can't remove these scars on my body. And the same applies to you. You can't, there are things we can't change about us. But what you can change is the way the people look at you. If you love yourself, then someone, yes. It's just like smiling. When I smile, somehow
all of us will smile.
So that's some of the impacts. Economically, there was no money. It was so expensive. It was psychologically starting over. You're being married, now you're single life. You've struggled to be in this relationship. Now you have to start. And you're seeing yourself in this single life relationship.
Maybe, Harriet, I heard you talk about the fact that currently you have a new sweetheart. Maybe if you can also tell us, how did you manage to go after going through...
Seeing as they cut her so that no man can love her.
And now the man with the wounds, and for him he's saying, yeah, you are the most beautiful.
Before I come to that, I remember when he was behind bars, when he was under remand, my ex-husband, when he was on remand, I remember him telling the colleagues, people come and tell you that I wanted to cut her properly so that I just carry her for myself and bring her wherever. But I thank God it didn't happen like that. I finally got someone. That was, in a joking way, I got someone. That was in 2018. And this gentleman is a sweetheart. He's different from... He's different from... He has never laid a finger on me. I'm talkative, he's not talkative. He's soft-spoken. But he has never laid a finger on me. He listens to me and then maybe corrects me. He has also taught me to be more calm because he's calm. He has taught me to be more calm and listen. I'm one person. Before you talk, I've already understood.
We know some people here. We know some people here. You are good.
So he has taught me how to listen. And I give credit to him. Like I told you, it's not only our parents who teach us, but the people we interact with.
Yeah.
He has that, I listen. I can listen. And even when we are talking, actually, I'm one person. Why don't you leave her to first finish talking so that we understand what he's saying, and then we can chip in. And that has built us. Our children, maybe they have seen us, children are tricky. Maybe they have seen us complain. Quarrel, but it's in the bedroom. The disagreements in the bedroom. There are people who say that you don't take your disagreements in the bedroom because it should be a bed of roses, but where else do you take surely? That is the only place people are not listening to you. So it is in the bedroom. And I found him also with children, 2, and me had 3.
And now together
but we have blended. And all together we have 7 children.
Wow.
Yeah, we help each other even financially, because we are not there. Where I fail, he helps me. And I'm talking this so that you whom I'm looking at, you who thinks that you will not get another person, know that there's an opening at the end of the tunnel.
I love
know that there is someone there, the person you're with, who is torturing you, who is treating you the unfair way. It's not yours. Maybe it's for somebody else. That right person is there. If you want him, you'll find him, like I found mine. I have never been beaten. People judged us. People are there to divide but we overcame all that. How will you manage her? We overcame all that.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Wow, what a story.
Maybe what I want to say, I remember when I was healing my sister, one of my sisters told me, but Harriet, you know that you should thank God that this happened to you.
Gay people?
I'm curious to know how
that this happened to you. I was like, my sister, how can you say she's born again? Said, how can you say such a thing? She tried to explain, but I said, no, how can you say such a thing to me? When my hands are up, I'm rotting, and you're saying, she said, you're going to get a platform. I mean, when you talk now, people are going to listen to you. You're going to heal hearts. And not everyone can heal a heart. Some people want to see you go through something so that they know that what you're talking is.
You know it.
So it's now that I know that, yeah, what she said is true. Yeah. Because when you tell someone that that bone is going to heal, they will not listen to you like they will listen to me.
That's true.
Because me, I'll tell them, mine was
it was
like flour, broken into, it couldn't be joined. But they fixed something, and I can work, I can, you know, I can move. Like they say, send a thief to catch a thief. Unless you go through something, so at times you might not really understand it, or you might not know the right words to tell another person.
Yeah.
But for me, I have not only studied, but so I felt it wasn't necessary, but now I know yes, because I've got a platform. Through this and through other organizations now like Power to Youth, I really thank Power to Youth who has given me the platform to reach out. You know, I mean, mobilizing people needs finances. Yes. And at times they might not take you serious anyway. But if you if an organization now like Power to Youth, which has the passion for women, like Power to Youth, and girls, comes up, spots you, because you have similar ideas, then you talk to people, you help people. They are seeing this real community member who has also gone through. They have seen you, how you behave. They have, I mean, it's not a story, you're telling them the truth. Yeah. You heal so many souls down there.
Wow.
And most people have said, because of you, because they have come and told me, because of you, I can also do this. Wow. I made decision because of you.
Yeah. I actually want to ask Joyce a question, you know, what have you found are the reasons as to why women don't report some of these things? And I know for her she did, and maybe some of the reasons are things like, even if I report, they tell me, Nang, you know, but what are the reasons that women don't report? And I want you to speak into them, kind of demystify those reasons so that they can speak out and speak up.
Okay, thank you very much. And thank you very much, Harriet, for sharing that touching story. I believe the listeners out there, they are really able to understand what so many young people go through in their communities. One of the reasons as to why people don't speak up, especially women, because as Power to Youth, our objective is ensuring that at least the young people, the young women speak up. Because, you know, it sounds better when somebody is speaking up. But some of the limitations are the issues concerning the stigma, the community. Just to relate with the story that Harriet has been sharing with us, what would the community say about her? And even when you're talking about this
and
stigma,
they say many words.
They say so many words. They blame you even not knowing what the cause is. Even they don't give in the time to listen to the person who is going through the pain. But also, we also, as people who are going through the sexual gender-based violence, they also have stigma as themselves. Because when you're looking at stigma, it's both personal and then the community.
There is no excuse for gender-based violence. There is no excuse for abuse. It's not there.
That's true. That's true.
It's not there. Like I tell people, the young men, if I put on a short skirt, there's no excuse that you have to rape me, you have to defile me. Is it saying, with due respect, you come and defile me, I've just dressed. It's a way of life. So there's no excuse. No, people want to know excuse, what happened. No excuse.
There shouldn't be any reason.
Thank you very much. But then also to top up on what I was talking about, the issue of attitude. The people, the police, the probation officers, the commitment officers, the parents, What is their attitude when you go to them to report to them about what you are going through? Even before you explain your story, they are already saying whatever they want. So because people know that the people we are reaching out for service, maybe I'm looking at organizations like Power to Youth that have gone out and telling people, if you go through, you can do, the referrals are being done. You can go to the health worker, you can go to the probation officer, but the probation officer, the attitude that she has towards the people who report these cases is very negative. So young women out there, they end up keeping quiet and leaving the things to themselves. Then also the issues of poverty. Talk about that. These days, if you don't have money, few things can work out. I'm talking from the perspective because as Power to
the border
Youth,
needs money.
we are working in
The
the
taxi
districts.
needs money.
And the districts we are working to are these underserved communities. I'll give an example of Kalangala, or Mbale, where she's coming from, because these are some of the districts are working from. Buko, you find that even going to the court to follow up a case, going to the police, first of all, you have to put in money from where you're coming from. The distance is long for you to reach the court or to reach any service provider. But also when you reach there, they're asking for money.
Not all of them, don't generalize.
Okay.
Because I was a probation officer and I was a good one.
Most of them, if we are to go with the majority.
The majority,
Of course, never had.
But also when the people are asking for money, they will not come to you direct to ask for you money.
They just delay the file.
They delay the file. They'll start telling you the file got lost, the file is in this office. And now until when someone will tell you, my dear,
Actually, to add
Like an adult.
speak like a Ugandan.
actually, to add on what you're saying, even you can get the transport and then come. By the time you come, I'm not there. Those service, the duty bearers not
At
being
times they go to their
available.
offices.
Not being available or not even delegating. You're not there. You're not there. But you can't even leave someone sit for you. You hold the
Yeah, we've
sensitive
seen some offices
office,
or officials
it makes it
whereby
expensive
they're supposed to be in
for
office, but they just leave the court, thinking that maybe they've gone for lunch.
And they don't think their child one day will go through
Yet
this
in actual sense, they're not
gender-based
even planning
violence.
to come back. That's the order of the day. So you come, you're not getting the service. So what motivation do you be having for you to say, let me go and report?
Actually, what she's saying that you don't think that your child is ever. I normally tell people, if you don't stop it on me, me who experienced
You will experience
it is knocking
on
your door,
child.
and one time it will enter
In
your home.
In your home.
It feels bad hearing what I went through, but you want to see it in your home. So stop it now. The man who is feeling bad, stop it now. The woman who is feeling bad, stop it now. Before it comes in your home,
Into
because
your own home.
the
And it
speed is
will.
so fast.
It will. It will. When
But
you're not
also
at...
the aspect of ignorance. Yeah. Do you know that, okay, I'm trying to relate to the story that Harriet was sharing with us. Do you know people go through certain things and they don't know? Okay, yes. Many young girls, many women out there,
They have seen
they
the
are going
red
through
flags,
things and
but
they
you
think
don't
it's
see.
love. Eh?
You see the red flags, but you don't know
You
that
don't
it's a
think
red
that-
flag.
You just think that it's okay, it's normal. So to the young girls and the young women, as we are celebrating the 16 days of activism, let us not just keep quiet. Let us speak up. Let's be knowledgeable. If organizations, if programs like Power to Youth have come in your communities, telling you and sensitizing you about such information, don't keep the information to yourself. Maybe even you are listening to this show, a colleague has not been able to listen to the show. Can you share the information? Tell them that these things are happening, but let them not think things are normal. Something can be done. There are people out there who are ready to listen to the cries, to listen to the voices of these young women and support them. We are all supposed to be in a happy world. We are all supposed to live quality lives. Then why would the young women? Let us also know that the young women are like the men, having the equal rights.
We as a community, we need to stop. It just needs to stop. Like Harriet said, it's not okay. Whatever even we are saying to beat children, please, cut your fellow adult. Why are you beating a fellow adult, knowing fully well that they are weaker than you, and you will take advantage of it? Why? And then you who gets the story, you're like, so what did you do? What did I do? It wasn't supposed to happen in the first case.
Yeah.
No matter what I did.
That's very true.
Oh, again, there is
because
no
even when
excuse.
there are issues of maybe arguments or disagreements in the communities or in our homes, people can talk
We all
without
argue.
creating, without causing harm.
Yes.
Together.
No, we all argue. Every relationship here, can you say you don't argue?
I know.
We all argue and they can be
even
heated.
it is not the man and the woman, even as girls and
Colleagues,
girls, women and
even.
women, colleagues at work,
Work, yes.
neighbors, we always have the misunderstandings. Are we beating one another? No. These things have to end.
I want us to talk about the one of work.
We will get there.
I relax.
I just wanted to ask her the available channels. Many girls might not know, available channels where to report their gender-based violence issues. Any other channels that you could highlight before we
Okay, thank you
close?
very much. I want to start with the community setting, of course, in our communities, because as we are talking, we know as we're working with young people, as we're working with young women, of course, they have people that they stay with. But we also know young people can, usually when they're making decisions, they are influenced. So people like parents in their communities, maybe their peers, they also need to talk to them. Maybe I've gone through something, I fear to talk to a health worker, but I can talk to my fellow young girl in the community of what I'm going through. Maybe the police that we have in our different communities, the court, that is the judiciary, but then at the district level, we have the community office, the community service department, whereby we have the community development officer and the probation officer. So these are some of the places where we can go to. Yeah, but also organizations or programs like Power to Youth, we also do referrals. So we also encourage the young people, the young women, the people in the communities. They can also, we refer them to, remember there are some organizations like FIDA, whereby they are able to offer that legal support to work with society actors. So we believe that the cultural leaders, the religious leaders have a lot of influence, but also young people or people in the communities have a lot of respect for them. So they feel comfortable that when I talk to the pastor, I'll be supported. So it doesn't mean the pastor is going to give me the service, but he or she can refer me to the nearest service, because usually even for them, they have connections. They will just...
Well,
it's also very important.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we just want to bind this show together. Usually it is the host who wraps this show, but I just want Harriet as the one who heals hearts.
I know.
We've given you a platform to heal hearts, and I know you've done that today. Not to one, not to two, not to 5 women. So I would like you to just share with our Bump Love audience, parting words of encouragement and empowerment to both the victims experiencing gender-based violence as well as the survivors.
As the one God is using to heal hearts.
As the one God is using to heal hearts.
Thank you so much.
Parting words.
I thank God for whatever I went through. I now say I thank God because it's no more. Just know that GBV doesn't happen to you because you're you. It can happen to anybody. It can happen to someone who has gone to school. It can happen to someone from a good background. It can happen to a young person. It can happen to you who is elderly. It happens to anyone. It can happen to you, a man. It can happen to a woman. It can happen to anyone. So stop the blame game. Stop blaming yourself. And I remember I say there is no excuse for abuse. There is no excuse, surely. Why do you beat your fellow adult? Why do you belittle your fellow adult? Supposing it were you, how would you feel? So let's just stop it. And stopping it will start with you. Yes. Practice starts now with that small girl you have in your house. That is in terms of employment. Whom are you employing? Is it a small girl? Because you can think me, I don't abuse, but you do. Avail time for your children, because you don't know how they are being abused, you don't know what they are going through. Talk to them. Eh? And you, a woman, please try to join income generating activities. There's nothing like I've not gone to school. We have seen people who have not gone to school, but they have too much. That's what I can say, too much that they can share. Eh? Or they have too much that they have the heart to share. So you can join income generating activity. I'm speaking to that lady at the grassroots. Join income generating activity, join savings. I'm here, but I come from a village setting. I join those savings. 1, to fit in, 2, to also improve on my income. So join those savings. If they can help me, they can also help you. Please, religion, know your religion. Go to pray. Prayer heals. If you're a Muslim, go there. It heals when you're undergoing it. If you're a Christian, go and pray. It helps. And let's teach our children to know their religion and respect it, because it's one way of avoiding GBV. Because in where we pray from, the different sects where we pray from, they will not emphasize, they will not tell you that abuse your colleague. No, they will not. So it heals, and there is a way we respect those religious leaders. Please get time, go and pray. And there's no need to hide. You can't hide forever. Come out, speak, help. Look for help. There are people there. If you go to a probation officer and the person doesn't help you, if you go to a CDO and doesn't help you, there are so many people you can go to. Stop blaming. Do something. And for you, the men, we are meant to love. Love us. If you want me to respect you or me to be submissive, just love me and it will come automatic. Thank you.
Wow. Need I say anything else?
No.
Yes. Thank you so much, Harriet. Thank you so much, Harriet. Thank you so much, Harriet, for sharing your experience and being honest about it.
Wow.
For sharing us, for including us in your healing journey, including our audience in your healing journey.
So humble to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much, Harriet.
Yes,
and thank you so much, Joyce. And would like to thank Power to Youth and Reproductive Health Uganda for partnering with us so that we can send across a message and join hands with the rest of the world in fighting against gender-based violence. If you know anybody experiencing violence, any acts of violence, please share this video with them. And to you who are, I do hope that this conversation has given you at least the courage to stop the pain and suffering and abuse now. Because if you don't do it now, you're consciously giving permission for the abuse to continue to the next generation. And this doesn't stop here. BAMPLA will continue to celebrate the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence in the next episodes to come. Until next time, with love from BAMPLA.